A Little Bit of Tinsel, a Good Omens fanfiction, written by MunchMulch, read aloud by SkyAsimaru. If you enjoy this podfic, you can check out the original story on Archive of Our Own. If you would like to hear more of my recordings or see some of my own work, you can find me through the pen and screen name of SkyAsimaru. A Little Bit of Tinsel. Summary. Crowley is why this year, as the weather gets colder and people start putting up lights, Aziraphale contemplates actually celebrating something in a more substantial way. Because this year, the first year living with Crowley, Aziraphale is part of something. For all the demon is only one person, their marriage has made Aziraphale part of a family, a partnership which feels remarkably human, even if neither of them are. Aziraphale has never done much for the holidays. Human traditions and celebrations seem to develop and change so fast, taking on different meanings and moving in and out of religious significance in a way that he's never really felt the need to keep up with. Holidays have never felt like they applied to him, because, in the end, each of them centers around family or community. As much as he might enjoy interacting with humans, he's never truly been a part of any community. And the angels that were the closest things he had to family have always been distant, without their own traditions or celebrations for him to join in on. The only times he's ever celebrated a holiday are a few instances where Crowley has used one as an excuse to bring over some nice alcohol to share. Bits of stolen warmth and laughter in the name of whatever the humans have decided is important enough to dedicate a day to. And Crowley is why this year, as the weather gets colder and people start putting up lights, Aziraphale contemplates actually celebrating something in a more substantial way. Because this year, the first year living with Crowley, Aziraphale is part of something. For all the demon is only one person, their marriage has made Aziraphale part of a family, a partnership which feels remarkably human, even if neither of them are. So, coming to a tentative, half-formed decision, Aziraphale does research. For the most part, he settles on Christmas traditions to start with, since the holiday seems to be the most popular and has generally forgotten a lot of its religious roots, despite its very Christian beginnings. There's also the added bonus that Crowley had a hand in its commercialization and all of the Christmas music that plays in grocery stores when you're just trying to get your shopping done. Research done and mind made up, Aziraphale only remembers the important little detail of actually presenting his plans to Crowley for approval after he's gotten a ridiculous amount of tinsel and lights from the store and is in the middle of hanging them up. Blinking at the work he's already completed, half of the living room done up in lights and sparkles, Aziraphale feels panic start to creep into his chest. How could he have forgotten to ask Crowley about this? For goodness sake, they live together now. This decision affects the demon just as much as it affects Aziraphale. That's the whole point. And Aziraphale should really just take all of this down right now. He can present the idea of celebrating a holiday to Crowley the next time the demon seems to be in a particularly good mood. Nodding to himself over his decision, and relieved that Crowley is off somewhere doing whatever the demon does when he's not taking Aziraphale on dates or being generally domestic around the house, Aziraphale starts taking down the lights he was just putting up. And then Crowley busts in through the door.
Aziraphale, you will not believe the nerve of the man at the plat store. Had the audacity to tell me, what's all this then?
Spinning around so fast he nearly topples off the chair he's standing on. Aziraphale gives a startled, high-pitched laugh.
He had the audacity to tell you. What's all this, then? How peculiar!
Aziraphale starts wringing his hands together, and then realizing that just makes him look more guilty, puts them behind his back. Crowley stares at Aziraphale for a moment, an expression of comical confusion on his face.
No, what? He was talking about fern care. Thought he knew better than... lights?
Aziraphale looks around as if taking in the room for the first time.
These? I just thought I'd do a little decorating. Get into the good old holiday spirit, you know?
After an awkward moment, he rushes on.
Of course, I can always take them down if you want. It was just a thought.
Crowley props his glasses up on his head, blinking.
What? No, it's fine. I just didn't realise you went in for this kind of stuff. The bookshop was never decorated. I always figured you just didn't care about them.
Aziraphale rocks a bit back and forth before remembering that he's standing on a chair and he's much too heavy to be doing that kind of tomfoolery without severe risk of falling. Scrambling off it, he laces his fingers together in front of his stomach.
Yes, well, it's different, isn't it? If we were to celebrate together, that is. I thought it might be nice.
Crowley looks startled, blush creeping over his face.
Oh, well, yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good, Angel.
Aziraphale's shoulders slump in relief, giddiness swirling in his gut.
Oh, lovely. Would you like to help me hang these up? The store had quite a lot of red tinsel, but no black, which I really think is overlooking the Gothic crowd.
Crowley sighs.
It's goth, Angel, and I can live with red.
Decorating with Crowley turns out to be incredible fun, especially when the demon decides to get competitive about it.
Listen,
Crowley starts, guiltily holding up a box that professes to have a life-sized, light-up deer inside. Aziraphale hides a smile behind a hand.
I'm listening, dear.
Okay, so I got 10 of these.
Crowley puts the box under an arm and holds up a hand as if fending off an imaginary objection.
Which sounds like a lot, I know, but Beatrice down the road has 8 reindeer, and they're not nearly as good as these ones. She'll be practically foaming at the mouth with envy. Especially if we set them up in the garden with a whole nature theme instead of pulling a sleigh or whatever.
Crowley cuts himself off with a shake of the head.
Yeah?
If it had been a year ago, before the almost Armage-didn't, Aziraphale would have pretended to be exasperated. rolled his eyes to the heavens, and bemoaned demonic wiles. Instead, he starts giggling so hard he has trouble breathing. After a moment, he gasps, Yes, let's, He pumps a fist in the air. Go get him! Crowley looks like he's torn between offense and amusement, and settles on amusement.
Oh, come on, you daft old thing. Help me set these up.
Tree shopping is a confusing exercise that Aziraphale considers just skipping, but ends up deciding to attempt out of pure curiosity. Observing the cut trees, he muses, I just don't understand why. I mean, this can't be good for the environment, but people seem to have such a good time with it anyway. Crowley shrugs, eyeing the trees warily.
It is a bit morbid. I'll give you that.
Aziraphale starts walking along the line of trees, carefully examining each one as Crowley trails behind. None of them really call to him. They're still just dead trees. Pursing his lips, Aziraphale glances at Crowley. The demon looks cold, hunched into his coat, fingers shoved into the ridiculously tiny pockets that are often found in women's trousers. The demon really needs a proper scarf and gloves. Dear, if none of these particularly appeal to you, we can head back to the cottage. Crowley tilts his head back and hums thoughtfully.
What about a live tree?
Aziraphale blinks. Ooh, is that allowed for the holiday? Crowley shrugs.
I mean, does it matter? We're just doing it for fun, right? Anything that doesn't feel right, we can ditch.
That's right. They're just doing this for the pure enjoyment of it, of celebrating a human tradition together. Aziraphale beams. Then, if you can keep it alive, let's get a live tree. The plant nursery has small living trees. Crowley interrogates employees about which kind is most likely to survive after the holiday before they choose. Aziraphale finds the little tree they end up with incredibly charming. It's short and thick and a little bent in the middle. They decorate it together with all the snake, devil, and angel-themed decorations they can find. The one thing Aziraphale had rather overlooked until getting Crowley on board the holiday train was presents. And more specifically, what to get Crowley. Crowley is constantly getting the angel gifts. Chocolate and flowers, pastries picked up while out just because. Even the occasional old book in desperate need of a loving home. So, whatever Aziraphale gets, it needs to be good. The first thing Aziraphale seeks out is wine. Crowley isn't a big fan of food, but has a very refined appreciation for good wine. Aziraphale only agonizes a bit over his choices, fairly confident that in this area at least, he is a Crowley expert. The rest is harder. What would Crowley enjoy? What would be meaningful? The demon hoards plants, but knows infinitely more about them than Aziraphale. The same goes for the fancy high-tech appliances the demon acquires. Aziraphale simply doesn't know enough about the subject to make a good choice. Uneasily and with some amount of embarrassment, Aziraphale decides to try and make something. Crowley's lack of appropriate winter clothing has been a thorn in Aziraphale's side for ages. The demon claims that things like scarves ruin the look he's going for. But Crowley is also extremely sentimental, no matter how much he claims otherwise. As embarrassed as Aziraphale is about presenting something handmade and likely imperfect to Crowley, Aziraphale is also almost sure that the demon will actually wear it. So Aziraphale starts using Crowley's nightly naps to learn how to knit. He even borrows Crowley's phone to look at instructional YouTubes. A few days before Christmas, he finishes the last clumsy piece of winter clothing. Aziraphale truly hopes he's not about to humiliate himself in front of the most important person in his life. Christmas Eve is lovely. The lights turn the living room into a softly glowing place, somehow more intimate than before. The fire is warm, crackling invitingly. Aziraphale pulls about half of the bottles of good wine he's procured, and Crowley does the same, clearly having had the same idea. They get roaringly drunk, talking about everything from gorillas to ancient civilizations, to Crowley's pranks on a neighborhood watch, to Aziraphale's attempts to foist extra cakes off on the neighbors. It's lovely, and at the end of the night, Aziraphale actually finds himself falling asleep on the couch, a very drunk snake curled up on top of him. It's one of the very few naps he has taken since moving to the cottage, and affords him the even rarer occurrence of waking up Christmas morning with a raging hangover. Oh. Sitting up with a groan, Aziraphale manages to completely forget about the snake lying on him.
Yeah!
Crowley tumbles to the floor with a squeak, coils transforming into flailing limbs on the way down.
Ah! Bloody fuck, Angel!
Blinking at the demon, Aziraphale groans again, covering his eyes with a hand. Oh, Crowley, I think I'm dying. Crowley snorts and then winces, covering his own eyes and lying back down on the floor.
I think we're both dying. We forgot to sober up.
Aziraphale groans again. Miracling away a hangover is much more difficult than miracling yourself sober. Something to do with the general difficulties of using miracles on your own corporation. While you can get a foreign substance out of it with relative ease, changing it after the hangover has already set in takes much more energy than he's willing to spend right now.
Do you have any pain meds?
Crowley asks from the floor. Aziraphale squints at the ceiling. I think I have some opium somewhere, but it's from the 1800s, so who knows if it's good anymore. Crowley splutters.
Opium? Opium that you decided to pack when we moved?
Aziraphale waves a hand vaguely. Oh, pish posh! It's not as if I'm intending to give it to a human. Crowley emits a sound remarkably reminiscent of a keyboard smash.
As soon as I'm not dying, I'm finding your drugs and flushing them down the loo. It's for your own good.
After a moment of miserable silence, Aziraphale levers himself up with a groan.
Well, Merry Christmas, dear. I can at least get us some water and start the coffee on.
Grumbling, Crowley scrambles to his feet.
Once we're less nauseous, I have so much candy and so many pastries tucked away for Christmas breakfast. An absolutely ridiculous amount.
Aziraphale hums in acknowledgement as he starts the coffee. The morning after that is calm, soft and pleasant despite their hangovers. Once they've had coffee and quite a bit of water, their headaches ease off enough to break into the pastries that Crowley's been miracling fresh. They're wonderful. All of Aziraphale's favorites, and then some.
Okay, so, I know we didn't really talk about gifts,
Crowley trails off nervously as he slowly picks apart a croissant.
But it's not really a big thing, but I thought now.
Face crimson, Crowley gets up to fetch something from the bedroom. When he comes back, he's holding a small black box, which he presents to Aziraphale.
Here.
Aziraphale accepts it, wiggling the cardboard lid off. Inside are 2 lockets, one clearly very old, and one newer, but still in an older style.
The older one is mine,
Crowley blurts.
It's dumb, and I know they've been out of fashion for ages, but I really liked the idea at the time, so I had one made.
Carefully lifting the older locket out of the box, Aziraphale opens it up. Inside is a small painting of a shockingly vivid hazel eye. Aziraphale recognizes it. It looks back at him from every mirror.
Oh, Crowley, how long have you had this?
The demon shrugs.
For a while. Figured it was safe enough since an eye could be anyone.
Aziraphale opens up the second locket and is met with a bright yellow eye. Slitted pupil, beautifully familiar. Crowley shifts back and forth uneasily.
I painted them myself. Not that I'm saying you have to wear it or anything. It was just an idea, you know?
Aziraphale slips the chain of the newer locket over his neck.
Oh, shush, you old snake. You know I'm wearing this until the end of time. Thank you.
Crowley grins, face going a brighter red.
Neat. Cool. Yeah.
Crowley's long fingers nab his own locket, and he tucks it away somewhere in his clothes. Aziraphale sniffs, feeling fairly emotional. Crowley has been keeping a lover's eye for ages, before Aziraphale was even able to call them friends. Feeling very silly about his gift all of a sudden, Aziraphale fetches it anyway.
Oh, this is daft. I'm terribly sorry. It's really just me trying to emotionally manipulate you into wearing more appropriate clothing for the weather.
Crowley's expression when he accepts the package is soppy. He carefully removes the tape, agonizingly slowly in Aziraphale's opinion. Finally, it opens to reveal a set of rather amateurishly knitted garments. A hat, a pair of gloves, and a scarf, each black edged in red.
It was the softest yarn I could find, and I know it doesn't match your slick look. But even if you don't want these, I'm sure we could find some winter clothes that work better.
Aziraphale blathers. Crowley holds up the scarf.
You made these?
Aziraphale nods, cheeks hot.
While you were napping, I watched the YouTube on your phone to learn.
Crowley grins.
Proud of you for slowly shuffling into the new era.
Aziraphale rolls his eyes. Crowley shakes his head, looking resigned.
Well, emotional manipulation accomplished.
The demon winds the scarf around his neck and then smiles at Aziraphale, face incredibly soft. Face still hot, Aziraphale feels his shoulders relax.
Oh, good. It's been bothering me.
The most nerve-wracking part of the holiday over, Aziraphale and Crowley spend the rest of the day cuddled on the couch, alternating between talking and watching old period films. Sometime in the evening, Aziraphale realizes that they haven't done anything holiday-related for their neighbors or the other humans they know, and he recruits Crowley's help in making a ridiculous number of cookies.
So, success?
Crowley asks, licking batter off the spoon. Aziraphale wiggles, a smile taking over his face.
Success.
The end.
Thank you for reading.
Please drop by the archive
And let the author know what you thought of their work.